Hi, this is Pam with thelawofperspective.com. I'm here with my awesome bearded trainer, Dominic Castillo. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the fundamentals of nutrition and the basics of what you should be doing. It's actually not that difficult. Okay, so I had a lot of readers write in, and I'm just going to go through some questions. I appreciate y'all writing in. I love your support. You want to add anything before we get started?
No, I'm ready to go.
Yeah? All right. Do you have a background? What makes you qualified to talk to us?
So I have a degree from U of H in kinesiology, emphasis on fitness and sports.
By the way, go Cougs.
But I also am a personal trainer through ACE and also a fitness nutritionist through ACE also. And so I basically made this my living is fitness and nutrition, and they go hand in hand. So.
And all you people that tell me I look great, because I follow his workouts and his nutrition, except for when it comes to wine.
Yeah,
I can't help that part. So let's get started on these questions. With all the crazy eating plans, what do you recommend somebody follows? A lot of people are confused between like carb cycling and paleo and keto, and I feel like a lot of stuff just gets thrown at them, and they're like, well, what's the right thing to do? Mm-hmm. What do you recommend?
This is one of my favorite questions to answer because people are either like, oh, that's it, or they're like, really? That's it? And the answer is you're already on a diet. Everybody's on a diet. Now stay with me here. What I mean by this is if you watch an animal show, I always relate it to this. If you watch Discovery Channel or National Geographic and they're doing a segment on a certain animal, they always say this animal's diet consists of, and it's whatever they're eating.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's the same thing with us. Whatever we're eating is part of our diet. Diet is short for dietary intake.
That makes me feel better though, because a lot of people are like, Pam, what diet are you on? I'm like, I don't diet. I just eat.
Yeah.
I don't consider it dieting. It's just what I'm eating.
That's what you're eating, and that's actually the easiest way to have longevity in I'll say a better meal plan. You know, because you're not thinking, okay, what most diets like paleo. Atkins, really any diet will have restrictions and limitations, and some of them where I don't like is they'll pull things out completely, whether it be carbs or proteins. And really the key to eating right is moderation. You hear me say that a lot, it's moderation.
Yes.
It's, you can have the wine, but that doesn't mean have a whole bottle of it, every time you go to drink wine, you know what I mean?
Oh, not every time, but
every
sometimes.
Time. There you go, yeah. So that's the key is remember that diet is short for dietary intake. If I go out and have a chili cheeseburger, I just made that part of my diet. You know what I mean? But same thing. Now I know to eat the better things more often, and that it's a balance. It's moderation.
So one of my readers did say that sometimes they just get so discouraged with the whole word diet and that, and they just end up going to like Whataburger, which is a total Texas thing to do, and just saying, oh, I'll burn it off later. Can you actually burn that off later?
No.
It depends on how many times you go there.
Yeah, and this drives me crazy because you'll see like the memes that it's like, and I get that they're trying to be positive towards working out and deterring people from eating bad, but it'll be like have a Snickers bar is equal to 500 jumping jacks. That's not how you need to think about food and exercise. It's not a trade-off like that. Yeah, it does not work. No, you cannot. You can never do enough exercise to outweigh a bad diet, and not just because of how you look, but because how you feel. Eating right will make your workouts better, and vice versa. Working out will actually make your metabolism faster, where you can get away with the certain bad meals and stuff, but that doesn't mean you need to go all out and have that cheeseburger or Whataburger all the time, you know what I mean? So it's not a trade-off, I'll say that.
Whenever I'm in here putting in the work all the time and then I go out, not often, but I'll have kind of a crazy cheat day, like hanging out with girlfriends, and I'm constantly putting in bad stuff for that whole day. The next day, it does not matter if I came to see you, what I did, I feel, for lack of better words, like crap the whole day.
You feel a little miserable.
I'm just sluggish. I can't catch up.
Absolutely.
I'm tired. I'm tired anyway, but it makes me even more tired. So I definitely see where you're going with that, and that's what I tell people is that putting in those key nutrients. Like if I feel like sugar, why not have fruit? I'm not a candy person, but I have lots of friends that like chocolates, Courtney, for example. Don't hate me, Courtney. And they can't really resist that urge, but for me, I find that I normally substitute it with something else that's healthier, like fruit. Is that like a better way of thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I tell people all the time too when they ask. Candy seems to be a hard issue for people. They love, sweets.
So easy, like one piece.
Yeah, and
one piece.
so going with fruit is a great alternative because you have that sweet taste, so it fills that. And then the other thing that's hard for people is saltiness, crackers.
Yes.
So on the other end of the
like
spectrum,
crackers.
they want to eat crackers, and that's common for like late night snacking is crackers. But then there's also alternatives for that. For instance, you said that like carrots give you that crunch too. Like a lot of salty things have that crunch to it. So it's sort of a way to trick your mind is have that, or like edamame seeds because they're salty.
Yes,
you know what I mean? You still get that
those.
salt to them. And another one is nuts, you know what I mean? But still, because of the salt and the sodium, you don't want to have it like in excess. I say like those are great snack options. Same thing
Yes.
with fruit because
That's what I was going to ask.
still
Is
got to
there
watch
too
for
much
sugars.
fruit with the sugar?
You still got to watch for sugars, but by all means, that's a much better alternative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you say I got to have either this candy bar or this apple, always go apple. So.
Not like what is it? The candy apples, right? Like a regular.
Yeah,
apple.
I gotta have this apple covered in caramel. No.
Halloween is coming up.
Yeah.
So according to all the stores that are around us, Halloween, and they've already reminded me that Christmas is coming up. So.
Oh yeah.
And I try to be careful for the most part because I know around the holidays everybody slips a little bit because everything's so good around the holidays.
Yes. And that's where one of my big tips, and you heard me say this to you a minute ago, and I say this to people all the time, and it's actually, I heard this in one of my certification courses. I heard when we were talking about nutrition, they said this is rule number 1, don't be weird. So I want to say with all the holidays coming up, we're talking about nutrition and all this, but the fact is, have a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, don't be that person at a party like, oh, I'm on a diet, I'm being real strict. So you go to a Halloween party.
It's not a diet.
Yeah, not a diet. So you go to a Halloween party and somebody offers you, a beer, some candy. Don't be that person like, no, I'm the only one here at the party not having it, and I'm going to stick to it, make everybody feel bad about their choices. Have a little bit, and that's how you find that balance. Don't try to go Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, being completely good.
Labor Day? I didn't have any beer today.
Labor Day I did all right, but you know what I mean though.
No,
you don't want to try to do that because you're going to end up crashing and burning. You're going to have where you say you have the one cheat meal turns into 2, turns into 3.
Because you're like, well, I already did it, so let's just keep going.
Yeah, don't put that pressure on you. Have a little bit, but again, moderation is the key.
No, I like the way you said that. Don't put that pressure on yourself, and I feel like that's what most people do.
Yeah, don't be weird.
Don't be weird. But I am weird. Just don't be weird with food.
Don't be that kind of weird.
Okay, got it. I'm going to make that shirt. So one thing that a lot of people get confused on is with carbs. Are there actually good carbs out there that you can have, or does that not really exist and that's just what people tell us so we eat and buy their stuff?
Now, my fiance, who is a dietitian, about to be a dietitian, she's about to take her test for it. But me and her argue over good and bad. She says there's no such thing as a bad food. That's not a way to think about it. And that actually is very smart because you don't want to fear or hate any kind of food. You just want to be cautious about it.
It's all mental there.
But to answer your question, there are some that you want to avoid and some you want to go with. And the carbs that you want to try to avoid are your ones that are packed with sugar, refined sugars, and with a lot of additives and stuff like that. So your candies, your sodas, and your more salty stuff like your chips and all that stuff.
Soda's actually the best thing that I ever cut out of my diet.
Soda, yeah, that's a big one.
Number one thing about almost 4 years ago now, and that by itself, weight-wise, helped me out tremendously.
They actually do a lot of reviews on, you'll like this because you like sports. They've done research and testing with offense and defensive linemen. I'm pretty sure the Bears is one of the teams where they'll they'll take one season where they didn't take away sodas, but then they'll say for the next off season, that's the one change we're going to make. Don't have sodas. And you'd be surprised with the amount of weight loss in those linemen just from cutting out sodas.
I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Bears that came out a while back. Yeah.
So another question I have is that somebody asked, do carbs actually feed muscle, or should we be focusing on protein? And then if so, what types of protein should we focus on?
Protein is where you want to focus as far as muscle recovery. Not to say don't have your carbs. Again, I'm a very big believer in having meeting your carbs, your fats,
and
your proteins. Have your carbs. Because carbs are actually going to give you that energy, kind of make you feel good after your workout, you know what I mean? So they're good to have. But protein is where it's at as far as the question was for muscle.
Yeah.
You want to have protein because that's
I noticed for me, I've increased my protein since working out with you, and that's what's really made a big difference.
Protein for muscle recovery, and also, I know this is not nutrition, but it fits it, sleep. That's a hard one for people. People are not getting enough sleep.
I'm out.
Yeah. Well, you're so busy with everything you do. It's like, hey, take some naps here or there. Yeah, there you go.
I like naps.
But sleep is another way to recover the body, you know. So.
Okay. So what types of protein?
I'd say to help for people that, you know, a lot of people that are asking about nutrition and dieting, they don't want to eat, they want to recover their muscle, but at the same time, they don't want to put on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So just stay away from excess amounts of red meat. So, you know, don't have a lot of steak, a lot of beef, basically.
Okay.
Turkey meat is real lean.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Fish is always a good one. Is there a
certain percentage of lean that you should look for in the store for turkey meat?
Start off with a little bit more higher if you're not used to it, and then go to a medium. You know, because you still want the fat, especially in your animal fat. That's where you're going to get your better quality fats than if you went and had, like, again, we keep talking about cheeseburgers. You know, if you go have
I know, that's what I'm going to go eat after this. Well, after we work out.
But another one that surprises people is bison. I always will throw that on there, and they're like, "Oh, bison." Yeah, it's a little bit pricier than the other meats, but for a reason, it's delicious.
Oh, it's so good. You become addicted to it if you have it, and you can tell how lean it is, and it doesn't make you feel gross after you eat it.
That's one that you can do right there.
And you can do a bison burger. Wait, can I have the bread?
Again, so you gotta have the whole grain bread, but that's a good question.
Whole grain bread.
Yeah, you can have the whole grain bread, but then not a whole lot of it too. You don't want to be eating a whole, and that's just, in my opinion, one thing that's easy to cut out or a limit is bread. You know, don't have a whole lot of bread.
That I do stay away from, which was hard at first, like I think anything is. But once you kind of get through like 2 or 3 weeks of it, you find that you don't really like crave it as much as you did before.
And that's with anything. It's about building habits. You know what I mean? People are creatures of habit, whether it's good or bad. Anything can be a habit you do it long enough, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So just take away something for a certain period of time, you won't crave it. If you don't like water, drink more water. You will eventually love water. So I promise you.
You put like lemon in it?
Yeah, you can start a little lemon.
That's what I tell people, put lemon, cucumber, whatever you like. I like cucumber water, so I find that it helps and it doesn't make you feel like you're just drinking nothing all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also find when I don't drink enough water, I just, I crash and burn. I do have a couple last questions for you. I have a lot of friends that are moms that their number one complaint, and I think even people that are working or crazy in the business world, is they don't have enough time to like meal prep and do all this crazy stuff that they see other people posting and doing. What's the easiest way to kind of make that change in your life and gradually work towards eating healthier? I know it starts in the grocery store, really, but there's got to be tips and tricks to it.
And I say people that say they don't have time to meal prep are not meal prepping correctly. I've been timing myself with my meal prep when I first got into it. I can make a whole bunch of food in 45 minutes. I can 45 minutes to an hour, depending.
Which is the same length as watching a TV show.
Boom, there you go. And what I'll usually do is either Sunday or Monday. Those are usually my meal prep days. And the key is you gotta learn how to get multiple things going. You gotta heat up stuff in the microwave. You gotta do stuff on the stove. You gotta do stuff on the oven. But if you get all three going, it can be done real quick. To start and get the bags of new potatoes and green beans at HEB. You know, they have like the mixed veggies and all that. What I'll do is I'll get like 3 packets of ground turkey, and I'll heat that up, and I can mix it with salad. I can make tacos. I can put it with the green beans and the potatoes, which is amazing. So little stuff like that. It's actually not as long as, not as hard as people think. Get at the same time. So you got your frozen bags in the microwave. You got your ground turkey on the stove, and then take chicken breasts, put them on the oven. On a pan, put them in the oven, and you got all three going at the same time.
I tell people all the time that I bake a lot of stuff just because it makes it easy. I can pop it in the oven, I can go shower, I can go do what I need to do, and I don't have to be sitting there babysitting it. And that helps me make like the chicken and that really easily, especially if I'm pressed for time.
And an easy grocery store tip, fresh, frozen, canned. That's the order.
Fresh, frozen,
it's best to have fresh meats, fresh veggies. If you need to save some time, the frozen stuff is good. Still
Especially
good.
now they have all the steamable bags. Just throw it in there and go, okay, I'm done.
Absolutely. So.
And then canned. Now canned, should you watch like sodium content in it?
Yeah, and that's why that's going to be at the end of the list on that. Like your like all your veggies still being canned, especially soups. I know soups are pretty popular where people like, oh, it doesn't sit heavy. Well, it's still got a lot of sodium to it, a lot of, because they have to spice it up so much, they have to preserve it and everything, so
I know that even my roommate has asked me this, good friends, and people write in all the time about it. How much water should I really be drinking? And can I drink too much water?
So this is an excellent question.
Because if so, I'm guilty.
And this is one that again, I get a lot. And it's one of those, it's always fun to answer because the answer is more. And I say more because most people are not drinking enough water. Now to get scientific about it, you want to have about the average person, just talking about a very generic number here because really everybody's different, but you should be aiming for about 48 ounces. That'd be, think about it like think about it like 3 of these, 3 or 4, but, here's my big but, you have to look, everybody's different. That's going to be your textbook answer.
Okay.
That's not taking into account that you do 2 workouts a day. That's not taking into account that you have jobs where you're here and you're there and you're here. It's not taking the fact that you live in Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to look at, everybody is different. You weigh different. You have different genetics, different genes. Look at Charles Cheeks, who will sweat just changing the TV channel. You know what I mean? So
or diaper.
You have to, so you have to look at stuff like that. Everybody's different, but I would say aim for about 4 of these, 4 of the 16-ounce bottles, and that's a good start. And then just see how you feel from there. Stay steady with
Now,
that.
what if you do have an active lifestyle, like you said? Like sometimes I do 2 a days, or if I work, I'm on my feet all day. Like my goal is always 64 ounces. Is kind of how I started at. Is that?
No, that's another good number. Yeah, absolutely. Especially like I said, you're a very active person. You try to get 2 workouts in a day when you work out. Your jobs keep you very busy. You're outside. You're moving around. So absolutely, aim for that number. You know what I mean? So. I'm gonna be honest.
Especially when traveling, because I find that's the easiest way to like kind of stray from everything. Is like I'll be traveling and I'm like, oh, I don't need water. I'm gonna get this coffee. I'm gonna get this, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't had water all day. I feel awful.
So I always think to myself, if I ever catch myself thinking, did I have enough water? The answer is no. Go drink water, Dom. You know, I yell at myself. So yeah. Okay,
that's fair. And if you had to pick like kind of the best nutritional advice besides don't be weird that you could give anybody out there, what would it be?
My biggest piece of advice that I would give somebody is do what you know. Most people know how to eat right. They know that green beans and broccoli and carrots and fruits, vegetables, lean meat, they know that these are better options than going to Olive Garden and have the tour of Italy or going, or having like...
You knew what the tour of Italy was.
I do love the tour of Italy, but that's, like I said, I know that other things are better for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always say that it's willpower, really, and and that's probably one of the hardest things to train is your mind, and making the right choices. But I always tell people when it comes to dieting or eating right, let's get away from saying dieting, but eating right is very simple. But that doesn't mean it's easy. It's hard.
Simple is not always easy.
Yeah, and
I always like to clarify that.
Absolutely. It's I know what to do. It's simple enough to go out and have, my green beans and have my chicken and have my rice. But it's hard to go out with your friends and make those healthy choices. That's where it does take a lot of willpower. But what makes it easy is make your exercise, when you go and exercise, when you're planning your eating habits, make that your you time to work on you. I always tell people that.
That's what I do to all of you.
Hey, I tell people that all the time. Like when people are like, I'm too busy in life. I got this going on, that going on, that going on. Slow it down and have you some you time. Like this is to work on you. To make you feel better as a person inside and outside.
And to me, it's necessary for later on down the road, because if you're just always kind of giving and never doing anything for yourself, receiving.
Yeah.
Giving and receiving. Then to me, you're just going to burn yourself out, and you're going to end up in a place that you didn't want to end up. And it happens faster and easier than you think it would.
Yep. My other big tip is contact me for training and for nutrition advice, and let's get that going.
He is the best if you live south. I know, south in Texas. I know some of you aren't in Houston, but and some of you are in North Houston. But if you are local, he is the best. But you can't give away my times.
There you go.
Because I promote you.
There, that's our deal.
All right, I just wanted to thank all of you for listening and tuning in. If you have any more nutritional questions, definitely feel free to write in at the blog, alotofperspective.com. I expect to hear from you. Thank you, Dom, for taking this time out of your hectic and busy schedule to talk nutrition, and I'm pretty sure we'll be back doing this again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun
It's been a pleasure.
Yes,
Let's go work out.
Deal.
All right.